because today's show is brought to you by Manscaped. You know, the ladies in below the waistline grooming. And we were just talking about ball security. Well, hey, you want ball security, ladies and gentlemen? Manscaped, they're the ones to give it to you. All right. And how do they do that? Well, that Lawnmower 4.0, the new thing. I'm talking, waterproof, light that you can turn on and off. It's a safe situation, low and slow. Make sure you don't get any nicks and cuts, nothing like that. I mean, it's a dope little vibe. I mean, I personally like it a lot. I tell you, man. Strobe light it if I want to. Sometimes keep the light all the way off and just spotlight me. All right. But either way, if we're going to talk about them for a reason. Because we got a promo code for you, ladies and gentlemen. And that promo code is MOATS. You use that on your purchase at manscaped.com. You will receive 20% off of your purchase along with free shipping worldwide. Deke, who doesn't love free shipping, bro?
I'm not sure.
It's like they're going to send it to you, Deke, but you don't got to pay for it. It's free shipping. Like, how do you beat that?
I don't know. I think insane people don't like that. That's
all I'm saying, man. So don't be an insane person, all right? Make sure you use the promo code MOATS. Get your 20% off at manscaped.com. And when I tell you, your dangly twins will be very appreciative of you, trust me on this, because I'm an expert. All right. So with that being said, shout out to Manscaped. So in terms of the running backs, shout out first off Anthony McFarland, man. I thought that he definitely showed a lot to me. And not just in terms of his outside stuff. I was more impressed with the in between the tackles running, because when you talk about Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey, that's what separates those smaller speed guys from just third down backs. A third down back, is the guy that, you can throw it to him, but you can't play him on first and second because he can't run in between the tackles. Those guys can, though, in terms of Kamara and CMC. And that's what makes them unique. That's what makes them such outliers and unicorns at that position. Man, what McFarland was doing at times on Saturday, I'm like, bro, if you can do that type of stuff consistently, we know what you can do in terms of catching in the speed element. But I was really impressed by that from him. So, like I said, I definitely like what he did. I thought that it was probably one of his better performances as a Steeler thus far in terms of just the consistency, not looking out of control. Like, we went through that phase as well before with him. He just, like I say, he just looked good. It was a complete game by him. Jalen Warren. Salute Jalen Warren, man. I would have gave him an A+ performance, but he had a cardinal sin. Can't put that ball on the ground.
He was doing that at camp a little bit too.
Absolutely. And that's what we talked when we said when he got into the doghouse, we said, he's been putting together a great camp, but he started to have some ball security issues. Coach Tomlin, that's one of his pet peeves. So even in the game when Coach Tomlin was asked about him, he's like, he put the ball on the ground. That's his energy with that. So for Jaylen, it's like, man, I thought that he did, exceptional in terms of his running ability, receiving ability. I thought the physicality that he played with,
oh my goodness,
across
just
the
trucking
board,
dudes
bro.
over, gaining an extra 5 or 6 yards on plays that you thought were done.
He was running so hard. It was it made me feel good because I don't know him close. I know some of these other guys, right? Especially some of the younger rookies, but I did get a chance to bump into him when I was down there, introduce myself and stuff. And it was just it was good to see now that I've actually spoke to this dude, having that little connection. Man,
now you know.
I know you now. You know what I mean? It's just different. You know what I mean? Sometimes you want to, I just feel I need to know you a little bit.
Now you
I need
really
to know you a little bit. Now I know him. It's I got a chance to see you in person. I done checked your size out. You know what I mean? I seen you look at eye level. It's okay, I like it a little bit more. But I thought, man, that he definitely was doing his thing out there on Saturday, man. I just say you can't put the ball on the ground. That's the only thing. Other than that, man, I thought that he definitely helped himself out a ton. And when you're talking about the RB2 conversation, the thing that I loved about Jalen's performance the most, not anything he did on offense. That man had a tackle on special teams, Deke. And when you're talking about being RB2, you got to get more tackles than a Benny Snell. Benny Snell, that's what brings, that's the addition to what he brings to the table. We know, he's capable of doing some of the in-between the tackles, runs and stuff like that, some of the blitz pickup, but he is a key contributor on special teams. So with a Jalen Warren, for him to unseat Benny Snell, he has to continue to make plays on special teams. And he definitely was doing that on Saturday. And that's why I was I would give him an A+. Man, you have that performance on offense, and you get you a tackle.
Bell type of stat line.
What?
For preseason, he only got 10 touches, but
dude, and you throw a tackle on special teams, bro. I don't think you understand. in. Like, yo, that's a performance of the performances right there. Like, you should be feeling great.
I'm sorry. That's like the last thing on my mind. But.
Yeah, and that's cool. That's cool. But you think about how many running backs don't make the team and receivers don't make the team because they don't bring you special teams value. If you're not Najee Harris, if you're not George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, you got to make plays on special teams. Miles Boykins, he got tackles on special teams in this game.
I liked his catching, too.
That's the type of stuff, though, in terms of how you make this roster when you're not a starter. How do you get a chance to survive long enough to develop into a starter? It's special teams. And for me, man, seeing Jaylen do that, I was really impressed by that. I also like what I saw from Master Teague.
6 for 31.
Yeah, Master Teague, man, he looks exactly how he looked at Ohio State. He is going to run extremely hard. He's going to hit that hole really fast. I just wish he could make that second-level defender miss a little bit more consistently. That's been his knock. And even in the game, it's like you saw him spit through and you're like, bro, it's time. And it's like, yo, just I don't know what it is about him. He doesn't do a good job of making that second defender miss, man. And in terms of trying to just create those explosive runs that I think he's really capable of. But I definitely love this physicality. I thought that he played really hard, man, especially for him. You think he's a late addition to this roster also. He wasn't here during OTAs and minicamp. We picked him up in training camp. But the last dude, though, in that backfield that I wasn't too fond of, it's Mateo, man. Durant. The blitz pickup, bro. You got to be better in terms of backs on backers. That's the play when Kenny got demolished, slammed down and stuff like that. That's on him. It's one-on-one. It's blitz pickup. You got to make that block. That's just the reality.
Like
I get it, but you got to find a way, bro.
Oh, right.
Like, that's how it is. You can't play out there like that if that's going to be your blitz pickup. That's why we talk about it the way that we do here in Pittsburgh. We weaponize it because we know, okay, man, beating 5 offensive linemen, dude, even TJ Watt, he doesn't get a sack every single play. That's very difficult to do. But if you can get that LB and you say, oh, this is the matchup right here on this running back, Vince Williams, we weaponize. I tell you, we will beat the drum. Just keep calling it. Until this dude can block, keep calling it. So if I'm an opposing defense, anytime I see Mateo out there, what am I thinking right now? Shoot, last time he tried to blitz pass protect, we saw what that looked like. I got to see if he fixed it. Oh, he had it on that one? Let's see if he can do it again here. And that's how they attack that at the NFL level. Now, he's not going to see it in the preseason because they're not game planning like that in the preseason. But that is something that he has to improve upon. The fumble from Jaylen is very significant, but that lack of blitz pickup also was really bad because it wasn't an assignment thing. If it was oh man, he overran it or he just didn't know, that's sorry, you get away with it. It's like, bro, it wasn't no confusion right there. You knew that's who you had. You got to make that block, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Warren fumble should be an easy fix, whereas you're right with the blocking. I don't know if it's that easy. Durant doesn't really have that type of frame.
That's what I'm saying, bro. And it's also a mentality like it's going to hurt. I know it's going to hurt because usually we're the guys delivering that blow and we're trying to like we either trying to make you look silly or we trying to hurt you, you know? That's the rules. You beat him or hurt him. You running through that dude, like not in the physical sense, oh, let me take his knee out, but like when I hit you, I want you to feel all 200 and whatever is coming down on you. And you're going to think about that next time. Like that's a part of the game, man. So for Mateo, it's like, bro, you got to improve that. Now, Coach Tomlin, man, trust me, I know Coach T, man. He's gonna highlight this dude. He gonna highlight that play. He might talk greasy about him in that team meeting room to everybody else too. But whenever that next back on backers is, that's gonna be the guy that he's highlighting. That's gonna be the guy that he wants to see. Have you corrected this?
Will you ever bring up contract with that stuff?
What you mean?
Hey, we gave you the most money for an undrafted free agent rookie. You're doing this out here. Will you ever do that? Bring up the cash?
Now, most of the time, from my experience, I haven't seen Coach Tomlin bring up the money part.
We paid for this?
Yeah, because you got to also think, man, like, for what he gave him, even though it's the most, for most of the dudes in it, they could be like, bro, we ain't tripping on that. Yeah.
Probably could if it was like TJ Watt.
Right. If it was TJ.
That would actually be kind of funny because TJ is going to come back the next game or something like that.
Yeah, we'll tell you also, man, that might like hurt him. You know what I mean? So,
sure.
yeah.
It might be
it's
down
a fine
bad.
balance. Yeah.
Dude, I wanted to go back to McFarland real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about it, man.
Dude, how about that comparison though? Remember whenever we drafted him? you seeing that Kamara?
Listen, as soon as I wrote it in my notes on Saturday, I thought of you.
I told you about Kamara once we drafted McFarland.
Deke. I said, watch Deke try to pull this, and he's gonna
you're the one that
justify
brought
it
it up.
because of this.
You brought it up.
This is a very, very small sample size. I am not saying that that's who Anthony McFarland is.
He could be.
But in terms of if there's a resemblance, it's kind of like when they're like,
The
yo,
framework's there.
when they're like, yo, you kind of look like Seven. It's like, you don't look like exact, but you got the resemblance. I'm sure when they put you side by side, it's like, that ain't Seven, that's Deke, and that's Seven. But it's a resemblance. It's kind of like that. It was like, you know what? It's loosely based upon, Yeah. They used him for reference. I can't stand you, bro.
But nah, dude. McFarland, if he could keep doing that. How about his trajectory with the Steelers, though? We wanted him so bad his rookie year to be playing because we're like, oh, man, he brings a dynamicism that, like, James Conner doesn't have, nor Benny Snell.
Speed, yep.
We need to get him the ball more. And he did, like, once or twice early on in that season. We gave him, like, 7 or 8 carries.
Yeah.
Ended up with, like, 40, 50 yards. But then the whole roadrunner stuff started to happen where it's like he's running, like, straight into dudes and falling over himself. We're like, all right, this dude can't see the field anymore. And then last year, he's just an enigma. We just don't see him anymore because he's hurt. Now he's back.
Yeah, so we shall see, but I am not calling him Kamara. I'm not throwing that out there right now.
I think you're right. You bulk up a little bit. You could run between the tackles. You could be more than a one-trick pony.
No, seriously, and honestly, as a defender, those are the guys that scare you.
And if he's doing it right, he can run smooth.
Absolutely.
Like Kamara.
Those are the guys that scare you, though, because they have that threat to hit, to hit a home run. They got that threat to hit it in the A-gap and go 60 out there, and it's a foot race. And you don't have those guys that can match him. You also know that, hey, if he's out there and you're thinking big personnel because he can run that ball A-gap, B-gap, and now we open up this formation and say, hey, man, you go out there, now we're going to isolate this dude, empty on it. Like, that's the other part where now you got big personnel groupings out there versus, athletes. And that's what Anthony McFarland could also bring to the table in that capacity. So, to me, man, this was a great, great start for him. I just want to see, can he continue that? Because it looked good. But, once again, it was one game, small sample size.
And for the running backs that were out there, he kind of had the Mitch Trubisky treatment.
Yeah.
I know, we weren't playing Najee. Snell's hurt. But for him to just get in and out like that, like, hey, all right, we believe in you. No, we don't need to see anymore.
Yeah,
that's got to be a good sign for him at least.
No, it definitely was, man. Like I said, I was really impressed with what he's been doing, though, man. And
you think he's got a roster spot locked then? It's more between Jaylen and Snell?
To me personally, yes, because remember, he's the outlier. He has a defining characteristic that no other running back has right now that we trust, at least. Najee can't run the way that Anthony does in terms of that speed, that receiving ability. Benny can't do that. Jaylen he flashed some of it, but even Jaylen isn't going to be able to do it to the same extent of Anthony McFarland. That's why we took him when we took him. We were so excited about him. So if Anthony is tapping into that, I do think that he kind of separates himself because he's unique. Not necessarily saying that he's a better player than these other guys. He's just different in terms of his skill set. So now when you're talking Benny Snell and Jalen Warren, man, they are both similar in their approach to the game and their style of play. So it's like if y'all are both the same, well, now I'm just trying to see who's the better player, who's the more productive player. Benny has more cachet because he's been here longer. We know what he's done on special teams. He's obviously had some opportunities on offense in regular season where we feel a little we could trust him at times.
Yeah, good performances.
Whereas with Jalen's a new guy, but Jaylen is doing some stuff that is making it exciting and making us start to look at Benny and say, hey, man, I don't know right now. This dude is starting to heat up a little bit. If he does this again on this Saturday, are we looking at Benny a little bit differently coming to that third game if he still hasn't played? I think so. And that's the part for Benny where it's like, yo, you got to get back healthy. Now, sometimes you can't handle. You can't dictate or determine when you're going to be healthy and all that, and I get that. But whenever he is healthy, he has to understand the urgency that he's going to need to play with because of what Jaylen was able to do on Saturday in stadium. And Coach Tomlin will say this, I've talked about this, but what you do in the game matters way more than what you do in practice. You can have all the great plays you want in practice. You can look fast, elusive, and all this other stuff in practice, but it's still practice. So it's gonna always be, tapered down in terms of how much we respect that. Whereas what you do in a game, it hits different. Now, a preseason game is gonna hit to a certain level. But then a regular season game is going to hit way more than a preseason game. A playoff game hits more than a regular season game, and so forth and so forth. So that's the context, that we're all trying to understand with this thing. But for Benny, I think he's feeling that urgency. I think he understands what Jaylen did out there.